All right. Here we go. Welcome to the Hip Hop Hustle podcast. I am extremely excited about my next two guests, the duo, the one and only duo, Gold Lemonade. And I couldn't help myself. I have to say welcome to the Lemonation because
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
well, I wouldn't be doing it right if I didn't say that. But obviously, is it Lya Lewis? I should have asked how I pronounce your first name.
It was perfect. Lya Lewis, exactly.
Perfect. Lya Lewis and Jvgg and the duo, and they're doing something extremely unique, merging hip hop, house. You've got a DJ, you've got lyricism, you've literally got it all. You've won hip hop awards, and you're like changing what's really possible with regards to music and with regards to what people have been thinking. So it's an absolute pleasure to have you two on the show. You've had a big 2023 as well. Been Thinking came out, A1 came out. Like, y'all just been doing everything. So absolute pleasure to have you on the show.
Thank you
Same
so
here.
much for having us. We're really happy to be there. And yeah, it's an honor. So we're ready to give y'all some secrets.
Well, you opened the door with secrets. I'm like, oh, what secrets do you have to share?
Not really no secret. The secret, maybe the secret sauce of the mix that we're doing is just that it's really genuine, because I came from the hip hop side. I only used to do hip hop, no electronic music at all. And Lya, the opposite way, only used to do electronic sounds. So once we started working together and started making that blend, we just created a secret sauce.
Well, I'm always interested in like the beginning because, you know, you two were probably one of the very few people who considered the blend of genres. So when you two met, was this like something organic, or was this something that built over time that you were like, hey, why don't we actually do this?
So at first we started to work together for another artist. So, you know, we signed by Jackie Jackson, right? So we met Jackie, we started to like compose and write lyrics for one of his artists. And it was more like pop dance, we'll say, like more radio singers, not really club music, but it was kind of course, electronic oriented. But they wanted more like, it was from the Caribbean, like Jvgg, this artist. So they wanted something a little more urban in terms of your, like, I don't like this word urban, but you know what I mean, like kind of hip hop, Caribbean, reggae type of vibe. So Jvgg was really perfect for it, and we met at this time. So I was looking for somebody to write lyrics on the beat for Jackie. And I met Jvgg in Paris in a recording studio, so it was so perfect. And we started to work together for 3 years for this artist. So we were not really working together. We were doing some featuring. We did maybe 1 or 2 featurings.
Yeah, we did a couple songs, but we mostly was working for the artist, and that's when we end up like liking what we're doing together.
Yes.
We was like, this is cool, and sending the songs over. We was in France at the time, and sending the songs over to the US, and they was like, y'all should maybe think about a duo and thing. They just popped up the idea. And then we was like, you know what? This is maybe a really good idea. So we slept on it for a moment, but then when we came over to the US, boom, that's when we started just like going through all the latest work that we had together and start like trying to blend this up, mix this up. And we stayed a while trying to mix this up. And we kind of search for ourselves to the public, because we released songs all along the way. So it was like searching, just trying out, releasing, trying to be a little more conceptual, because we always trying to keep it a little different, not too cliche. Anything we do, don't want it to be too cliche. So that's how we end up working together basically, and then having that little sauce that we created. Yeah.
Because how long did it take you both to figure out your sound of like how to blend it effectively? Because I think that, I mean, from the sounds of it, that feels like it would be the hardest part. You're essentially creating a new genre of music?
I would say maybe at least 3 years, if we like, since we are together as a duo.
Yeah.
3 years, I would say. And at first we were more into a dubstep vibe.
Yeah.
So it's more close from the BPM of hip hop. So kind of we did this for a moment. And after we went more like with the EP, the Yellows, we went more like radio song, pop song, pure hip hop songs. And after, like, when we came back to house, because we had a residency in LA for a year, and it was more like a house vibe. So we went back to my roots, which was really house music. And when we did that, like, together, we were like, that's the song we really enjoying together. And we started to really like mix hip hop with house, not dubstep. So it's a different BPM. And No Hollywood was really the revelation, because like we loved so much this song, and like it was our revelation to the world too, because this song just hit 1 million stream. We didn't get any editorial playlist. It was all organic, all via TikTok, everybody that was coming on Spotify and searching for the song. So of course they put it in like algorithm playlist and stuff like this. But it was really the revelation. We found our song. We felt we found our song, and the public reacted the best of our career. So, well, like that's how we realized we really found.
Yeah, we knew that was the way, because everything fell in place.
Exactly.
Is it lagging a little bit right now?
Yeah, it is. But yeah, it was a revelation. I mean, because when I was listening through your catalog, I was also like, oh, this is really cool to hear the evolution of like where you're figuring out your sound. Because very much at the beginning, it was like, here's a verse, here's a bit of dubstep, here's another verse. And so you can see the structure of a song in a way. But I think now you've got it's like a cohesive piece. It's like you've got a real blend, and you've been able to go along the way. Because I think that's the hardest thing to do as an artist, is to be like, to keep trying new things. Because you guys have won awards. I mean, I personally, when I win awards, I'm like, all right, that's my formula to success. But you guys, you're like, oh, no, we got to keep trying. We got to keep evolving. We got to keep doing new things.
Yes, because we wanted to really find what make us vibrate to the fullest, two of us at the same time, because we both like different stuff on the side, but like we had to find this one thing that's like one piece of sound that once we hear that, we both get the same feeling, the same reaction. So it was really important for us to get there. And along the way, we got an award, which we're really thankful for. And it was kind of crazy when we got it, because I mean, they in the jury, there was like Snoop Dogg, there was like big people in the jury. Keith Richards, like there was big people. So it was like already they heard the project, and we know the project is like conceptual a little bit. It's not like some regular dubstep. The sounds, some certain sounds might be similar, but like you said, the structures, more rap. And at first it was tough, because people would be like, we don't know where to place this. They couldn't understand like the whole thing. Like even for live shows, they was like, wait, y'all rapping, singing, or like doing a DJ set? What they just couldn't understand. Like we had meetings with like big labels and distribution and stuff. Like they're like, wait, we gotta understand. Wait, where can we place you guys? So that was a lot of also criterias and stuff that made us take certain decisions in our sound to be able to pass these barriers and not be stuck like, oh, where do we place that? It's too mixed up. I mean, everything is a mix. All these house remixes that you hear out there, it's like with Drake vocals, with stuff like that. So why not make this an original song,
How did you both describe it when you were asked, like, where to place it?
I like to say like heavy tech house. I don't know, I say that all the time. Some heavy tech house, because it's like sometimes it will be bass house, but like heavy tech house, rap, heavy rap tech house, basically.
And we found also like a kind of a name that we loved. It was trap house, because like it was really the mix between the trap and the house, and it has an image, of course, so it was kind of a good way to describe it. After G house is a thing, like Bijou is the king of the G house. That's why we look up to him like since a long time. Like I'll say we are really unique because we have this hip hop vocal aspect in the duo and on stage, and it's really a mix between like a rapper, DJ, producer. Like it's that's why we kind of unique. But G House is a thing. I'm a big fan of Skrillex, of course. He kind of did it since a long time. So when we started to do dubstep, we were kind of influenced by him a little bit because he opened the door.
Of course.
But yeah, trap house is good.
Okay, wait, it's lagging again.
Oh.
Yeah, right now is fine. Unless y'all are planning on running in the background, then I think we might. But otherwise it's good. But yeah, I mean, a trap house is a great way of describing it. And have you noticed that people have started to use you as a bit of like inspiration for themselves of like what's possible? Because I've definitely seen DJs collaborate with rappers, but
it was already a thing.
But I think this is one of the first examples or first successful examples of actually a group being formed around it, as opposed to just I'm a DJ and I'm just finding people to work with. Like you've built a literal structure around it.
Yes, that's a big point right here, because certain people might say, yeah, but they didn't invent it. No, we didn't invent rap and electronic music. That's for sure. Like AC Slater and Dread MC and all these guys, they've been like killing shit for years, like doing that, but it's collabs, So to have it, like you say, like as the base of the duo, that's what's different. And everywhere we go, we'll have a No Hollywood verse, rapping, jumping in the crowd, like keeping this other hype to the show, bringing a little something else to the just being behind the booth and just DJing, which is super dope too. But we're just trying to bring a little extra to it, Yeah.
And let's be honest, when you go to shows, like how is that balance of the crowd? Like, have you noticed a crowd like, because hip hop crowds are different to DJ crowds from what I keep hearing is that like house and hip hop, it's just a different vibe. But have you got like your own unique style of crowd when you've got your own shows?
So what we would say is that hip hop is already like a mainstream genre. So everybody kind of like listen to hip hop in a certain way, like pop hip hop, or like they know like Drake, they know big artists, Travis Scott and stuff like that. So Post Malone, but so when we on the live shows, we feel like people who come to the shows, they want to listen to house music and they want to shuffle and jump and woo woo. But when you give them something that they also know as a reference vocal, it doesn't shock them when we then come in with our own vocals and stuff like that. It feels natural, and they get surprised too, because a lot of people don't expect it. And once again, everybody listen to a little hip hop sometimes, so it'll sound familiar. And but we don't do the negative part of the hip hop, which is like a lot of curse words, bitch this, bitch that, or like I have my gun and blah blah blah. Like we're not in this. That's not the mentality. That's not our mentality. So we just bring in the good side of the hip hop. The fact that you could say stuff, the fact that you could grab the mic, interact with people a little more, like all this stuff, and then having the fashion side of it too that we love. And so yeah, it's a whole thing, and people react good to it, honestly.
Yeah, so the crowd is majority more of the house crowd, and then you get to use the other genres.
Yeah, because everybody.
I'll say maybe at the beginning of our career, we had more like a hip hop crowd, but more and more we were like, what we really want, like we really want to mix everywhere in the world. Me personally, I had the chance before to uh, mixing like great parties everywhere in Europe. And I really wanted, like, I really do this because of the mentality of this industry, like this crowd. They are like all about love, about dancing together. And for me, electronic music is kind of spiritual. Like it brings people together. A lot of people, when they go in festival, you know, it changed their life. And going more in the hip hop industry, we felt at a moment that we were kind of losing this energy, this
Too much ego.
we were more like, do we really want to be pop or hip hop artists, or we really want to keep this electronic vibe to be able to live this thing? So we decided to do more club music, also to come back to this electronic music crowd because we love them so much.
Yeah.
So tell me more about that. You said obviously ego. You said that like it's a different energy with regards to house and then hip hop.
Well,
yeah, tell me more about that.
Like mainstream hip hop is like, even us, we do it a little bit, but it's like about bragging, you know, like most rap you hear nowadays, unless it's like rap with a message and stuff like that. But most of the time it's just like bragging and like, I'm better than you. And so this for sure, once you start saying that a lot and then you actually get success, you actually start to think that you're better than people. And then that's where you start to act weird. And then these people can't take a picture with you. You can't talk. You don't want to talk with this person. You don't want to do this. You like, it gets weird, you know, like, I don't know. And the whole thing about it is that we can feel in the industry that it's lagging again.
Yeah.
So sorry, what was the question?
Now we're talking about, you know, egos in hip hop versus, you know, being in house. And I think you're right. I mean, I've obviously spoken to a lot of hip hop artists and the mentality is I'm the best. And I think I don't know, you guys obviously have lived it, but does it feel like there is a difference because hip hop feels like you have to be, they always say it's a sport. They always say like, oh, it's me versus you. And that's like what's fun about it, but it's also what's kind of not fun for everyone.
Exactly. Like once it stays like to like skills, you know, when you're trying to prove your skills and you know you prove that you're good, it's different than when you just, nowadays everybody get a setup at home, a little mic, software, auto-tune, reverb delay, a nice little EQ, and then you got a hip-hop song. So it's like, I mean, it's just a little too much, you know. If it was like okay, it has this category of hip-hop where you see people like that, and then you have the conscious rap, and then you have the chill rap, and then you have like, and then they all as big. But the problem is the ego rap is the biggest. So that's the mainstream, and this is kind of affecting all the youths, and it did affect all of us like growing up. So, and then you gotta take a long time to like to de-brainwash yourself from the bad side of the hip-hop mentality, which we think is sad because it's only influencing. So you came out of a fucked up environment, and then you make it out, and then you influence the kids that's still in this environment to do dumb shit so they could get in trouble. I mean, this is just fucking common sense to a point. So when you're young, you might be dumb, but as you grow and you get success and you meet people and you see places, it should just come naturally to open your mind and also take a step back and realize that, hey, this is not a good thing. Like, there's some rappers coming out, speaking out, like Meek Mill doing stuff right now. And yeah, it's just crazy. Like, I think, but who's pushing that? I don't know. So that's why we like house music.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. But what is is there drama in the house world? Like, have you all experienced any kind of, see, the looks on your face, they told me the answer immediately, that there is. But like, I'm assuming it's different than what I hear about usually.
The
And
only thing,
honestly, like I'm surprised, like every like huge artist that we will look up to that we met,
they're so cool,
they are so sweet, like so humble.
so nice.
Honestly, like we didn't need a lot of ego. I will say it's even the people that didn't make it yet that have more ego sometimes. But no,
Yeah, I would say in the electronic music world, you have, it's kind of funny, but you have this kind of manager, this kind of surrounding around the artist. Not all the time managers, but sometimes. And they have the ego because it's weird because it's like, oh, but it looks like you want to be on the stage, bro. Like you're just in the shadow right now. That's your job. So what you got ego for? Like, I don't know. It gets weird sometimes, just like in the industry side of it, but artist to artist,
yeah,
honestly, every relation we have with all the artists we know, we talk to or whatever, is like really like love, love, love,
much, yeah.
always love, and we really appreciate that, and that's why we happy also to, since we mix hip hop in house, we have some people who like hip hop, we make them take a peep on the other side of like electronic music. Come take a look, bro. Come to an event with us. We gonna play. Come hang out with us. And they be like, yo, like it's so cool to be there. Like everybody's nice. Like that was dope. Like so it'd be like, yeah, it's not a rap show in the club where everybody's standing up, and if you walk on someone's shoe, like it could be a problem, you know.
And I think the difference with hip hop, I would say, like in hip hop, only like the people that make a lot of streams and stuff are famous and able to live with this career. But in electronic music is a little bit more different. You have the underground side. Some people are like so famous, like in electronic music, but they can like walk in the street and there is not everybody that recognize them, you know.
Yeah, it's not like a
So
pop star
yeah,
thing.
it's less like, of course, the big ones, they are in the big industry, big music industry, but there is still something authentic in electronic music. There is some people, they hate the radio and stuff. They do their kind of alternative music in their room, but they have like a crowd, a public. They will never be on MTV or stuff like this, but they don't care and they can make a career of it. So it allow yourself to be more who you really want to be, and you can make it on different levels. You can also like decide to stay in this niche and make money with it and make a lot of good things, you know. So I think it's one of the reasons why it's still so cool, and because people can stay themselves and they don't need to all run to the top of the billboard, you know, and all this pressure from the major labels, and it's still a little bit independent, and that's what I love too.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that. I was going to ask that whether you think the independence of it has kind of protected the creativity in it.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah,
Sure.
and there's like in the electronic music world, as an electronic music artist, a DJ producer, you want to sign songs to a bunch of different labels. So it's like your mind is already open. You're not locked up with one label doing the same thing and they want you to do the same thing. You could do this more housey vibe and then more tech house and then more bass house, and send these songs to different labels that fit these type of songs, and then have them release, and then be, because that's what we like a lot about like DJ Snake. You know, we shout out to the French boys. We really appreciate his artistic directions and stuff. Sometimes it's a little too commercial for us, but like the fact that he's able to navigate through that and then come back to and do like the secret room with Mala and do like some underground sets and stuff like that, that's really a cool thing to be able to navigate like that. So yeah, electronic music will give you some more freedom, and hip hop or pop, you have freedom for your creativity, but it's harder to get a crowd, like she say, like to make money, to get shows, to be out there. Like, is if you're not in the billboard, it's hard to like make a living off of streams and stuff like that. Even for big artists, like you gotta really do a lot of streams to like make a living, pay bills, live, do stuff, save a little money, whatever, like to just advance in life. you got to do more than that. So electronic music, you have a little more freedom because there's different outlets, different labels that you could propose your music to, and you also could make a living in a cooler way without getting higher to this pop star level. And some DJs make some pretty good money, and they have a good level in the industry, but they're just not like pop stars and stuff. They're known in their industry, and it's just popping for them. And I think that's a cool way to live life as a musician. It's like having a band,
Exactly.
you know.
I feel like, you know, being a DJ, it's more of a party. Whereas, like, I feel like, because they say hip hop is the biggest genre in the world, in like most consumed, but I feel like a lot of fans are passive in the sense of they may listen to the music, but they'll never go to a show, or they just won't go to a number of shows where it feels like when you go to see a DJ, the people who are there and your fan base are like genuinely extremely active fans as opposed to passive viewers.
Yeah, because they know they're gonna have a good time. They're gonna dance, they're gonna party, they're gonna meet people. When you go at a hip hop show, like if you don't have like 20 chains on, like this, like you know, like I'm just saying the big cliche, of course,
Yeah, it's a
because
big
I'm
cliche.
going to the
Yeah.
extreme, but it's a lot in between, of course. And that's where we appreciate the in between. But once this extreme, which is you see it a lot. Like anywhere you go and it's a hip hop vibe, like say you go in LA, they had these hip hop brunches. When we pass in front, it's like everybody got a Rolls Royce. They like big show off, and then like couple hours later, you hear like, oh, there was a shootout right in front of the place. No, because some ego stuff happened in there, and then they take it outside. Like this don't happen in no house music event.
And I'll
This
add
is
like,
have fun, so you know it's no risk.
yeah, and I'll add like, we really believe personally in energy, you know, we think everything is energy. And
Yeah.
I think it's just logical, like when the music is super like violent with like curse words and stuff, like it brings, I can say the worst in people, but it's gonna bring you're gonna feel maybe powerful, may in a bad way, you know, you're gonna be you're gonna feel maybe like a power in you, but it's not gonna be the right things. And we think it's so important as artists, like you share your energy to the world. So we thought about it a lot, and we were like, okay, bass music, it's gonna be like big bass, so you're gonna have this power, but on top of it, you're not gonna say like disrespect your friend, kill this guy, and we're not gonna bring the worst in you. You're gonna feel this power, but we're gonna like the song after gonna be the happiest, and you're gonna feel the love, you're gonna experiment a lot of different energies, but not in a bad way. We always think about, is it good? Is it a good energy for them? That's so important. So we think hip hop nowadays, it's all about this very maybe powerful energy, but very violent, very dark. And we don't want to bring this.
Yeah, and there's a lot of dope artists that's it's not to the extreme. I mean, if you curse in your rap, or like it's cool, like you can curse, or like you gonna say you tough, and then nobody don't play with you. Okay, that's cool. But if the whole song is about how you killed someone, like this is extreme now, and this is the problem with today. So, like if like to you listeners out there, yeah, y'all go check like Kasky, like artists like that, like that's like you get content, different type of songs. You get like, as a fan of Kasky, like you always get some new stuff, like cool collabs, sick visuals by Legit Looks, you know, Legit Looks that does a lot of videos in hip hop and stuff. So it's like really like some cool stuff. But this is not put out in front to the mainstream because it's too much deepness in the lyrics. It'll make you think, you know. They don't want people to think, and that's the problem. And that's why we at least that's why sometimes like we be like, oh, this doesn't have much lyrics when we're doing a song, but we like, at least you just feel the music. You could just imagine what you want on it. And that's what we appreciate too with electronic music. Then always, because hip hop, you kind of getting like you repeat lyric for lyric when you know it by heart and stuff like that. So you just spreading that same energy that person spread out. If it's negative, then you just rapping it, listening to it, doing the same thing, and put it that same fucked up energy in your life, you know. So you gotta be careful. It's like little by little. You can listen to a trap song. I mean, it's not like, oh, don't listen, that's the devil's music. It's not like that. But I mean, like, for the kids out there, for grown people, it's different because they could just listen to it without, taking distance from it. But young kids, they want to be like that, you know. So
yeah. I think it's important you added that last bit because I'm like, yeah, but I love the violent gangster shit. Like, I love it personally. Obviously, yeah, but I've been listening to it since I was a kid, and it's completely. I say to every guest, that is not me at all. I think everyone can tell that is not me. That's not the life that I live at all. But I do think it's important to differentiate between, like, if you're an adult listening to it in the same way that if you're an adult watching a violent movie, you can separate this as entertainment from reality. But I think
kids watch a scary movie or a violent movie, they think it's reality.
Well, I think the interesting thing that in music as opposed to in movies is, like, obviously in movies someone's playing a character. Everyone knows that's an actor pretending to be this person. Whereas in music, y'all are yourselves, but you're also versions of yourselves that you're not 100% of the time. I know for an absolute fact that when you're on stage, you're playing this hyper, this like show person on stage, but then when you're off and you're at home, you're like, you revert back to whatever you normally do. So I think that's what gets confusing for a lot of people, especially young people, is like the version they see of you on social media, on what you put out there, is they think that's just you 24/7.
Yep, that's true. And nowadays we starting to see a lot more people speaking out about certain artists and saying about how they not really like that. And for me, that's worse of a problem, because if you genuinely like that and genuinely come from the trenches and then you had to go through some crazy stuff, and that's how you built and that's how you talk and that's how you think, because you was built like that, and then that's you, you know. But then when you not like that and you talk like you like that or act like that's it, now this is even worse. Is the other one is bad, but this is even worse because you playing a role that people really think that's your life, and then you really influencing people, and you at home chilling, you safe with your kids and your family, and you're not like having all these girls or these guns or all these problems, you know, that could come with it. Once again, that's the extreme, of course, but it does happen a lot. I see it a lot. And where I come from, like all the youths, all the kids, they're like super influenced by the violent music, and that's how they move every day. Like, nobody can play with me, nobody can look at me wrong, nobody can do this because I'll do this. No. So it's bad, you know.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I think sometimes it's like it goes back to also what's your circumstance of, like, you know, what's your home life like? I think that plays a more important role than obviously the music you listen to. The music is like the soundtrack to your life. So, like, if it's all aggressive, if it's all dark, then it's not going to have a like positive effect necessarily. But I think that, it's weird. We like to separate that, like, oh, this music is good sometimes, this is bad, but ultimately, like, the things that really matter of, like, what's your home situation in life like what are your parents like? Do you have healthy relationships? And maybe to your point, that is influenced by the entertainment you consume.
Yeah, it's you could be good at home, but listen to that bad music and also like attract nothing really good to your life. Maybe you missing out on stuff that you could attract way more better things, but you kept yourself limited. I'm not speaking about you, but in general, that maybe listening to that gonna keep you in this mentality that is not gonna make you evolve too. So I feel like hip hop nowadays, today's hip hop, is a lot of young people music in a way, because a lot of grown people, like, you will still listen to hip hop, but like the good ones, I'll say. Like, I feel like it's not the I don't know how to say, but not the like low, the bottom shelf rap, the first one that you get, the easiest thing that everybody, oh, it's a drill beat, and you're gonna say op and glock, and then you're gonna rap like this and put auto tune, and and there's like this the cliche of it, and it's true. It does happen, and we've been around it, and it's like now that we took a step back, sometimes we'll be like, oh yeah, okay, like we know, you know. So, but there's a lot of good in hip hop, and that's why we have this hip hop side, because it's about like the people who want to like spread a message, and be able to say stuff, and so it's a cool thing, because sometimes you can't just say what you want with synthesizers. So to have some cool being able to say what you want when you want on a song is cool. So we're really happy to have this side, and also in the sounds that we use when we produce it. We will use electronic music sounds. There's certain sounds, but we'll mix up a lot of hip hop sounds. So that's cool too.
Yeah, and we like these days we really try to open what we're doing
Right.
too. We're gonna keep, of course, a lot of this hip hop aspect. Just to give an example, we released a few months ago a song on Bijou's label, Discotheque, but the club version that was released by D&D is really like club. But for the live, we have a verse on it, so we're adding some hip hop verse to some song that we release without any hip hop vocals. But also, just after this interview, we're gonna record like a gospel singer. So these days we are like doing some songs with a gospel singer. We did maybe 4 songs already with her. We're working hard on these songs, and it's gonna be much more like gospel music. So we are in a Kanye vibe right now. There's a music. No.
Can I be honest though? Gospel, like, that beautiful, but I mean, beautiful voices, gospel singers, like insane.
So house music have a lot of gospel singers and this type of strong vocal.
UK house, UK house, Defected Records, and of course they work with singers like this since a long time. But we really felt that we wanted to create this type of songs because the energy is so like amazing. It comes from disco, funk, soul. It's so
that feel good music.
It's feel good music. Like when you listen to this, you feel like happy right away. So we work on more happy vibes.
Yeah, because as time goes, we realizing more and more the effect of music, so which could be negative but could also be super positive. So that's why we try to we have a lot of stuff on the way that's really like uplifting and good vibe. Like you listen to it in the morning, it feels good, like you feel good, and this is the type of vibe we want to share.
You can make your child dance on this.
Yes.
Like, no problem.
We want everybody to feel good,
Yeah.
But that is so cool. Like I've personally always been a fan of like vocal samples of just there's something soulful, angelic about it. It contrasts really well in genres, and I think that the more people tap back into that, I think it just adds a really cool element to the background of any piece or any work. Like, I don't know, the contrast just always has worked for me.
That's why Tupac stuff is amazing. Yeah. Like a lot of his music is amazing because of the hook, the singing hook, the soul vibe of it, the realness in his lyrics, even though sometimes it's tough or hard to hear. Like it's just like real. And then this contrast, like you say, on it, so it's gonna touch your soul even more, because the rap gonna touch your soul, but then you have these melodies and these vocals, like you say, like angels in your ears that just make you won't forget these, and it's a cool contrast. So contrast is always I feel like contrast is always good visually, musically, anywhere. Like contrast is good.
Yeah. Well, I mean, isn't that the whole way a drop works, is through contrast? Is like, I'm taking off my assumption, I'm assuming, but like the reason that works, the build and then the sudden hit of like everyone looks forward to a drop in a song.
Yeah, because
Everyone looks forward to that.
but I feel like in an electronic music song, especially like a club song, that's the most, it's not a most important part, but it's kind of the, it's 50-50, but it's the most important 50. It's 51 and 49. And then on the build up in the verses is getting you ready for the drop, you know? That's how we look at it. We feel like it's not even a contrast thing because it's just getting you ready for it. The contrast will be maybe as we always, a lot of people and us, we try to do a contrast between first drop and second drop, you know, so it could hit different. But like you feel the, I see what you mean. It could be a contrast when you're in a club and then it's the verse and then you don't feel no more bass and then you kind of like this and then it goes back up and it's like, yeah.
And like when you say it's contrast, I think about the song we are working with Tamara, like the one that are like the heavy bass.
Yeah.
You know, that
Oh,
this
yeah.
is really a like contrasted
yeah.
song. So like the gospel singer we just talked about. So we did one of the song we did with her. It's like a very darky vibe, and she's doing some gospel vocal with a lot of background vocals with like different octaves and stuff. And it's really like you have the impression to be in a church, but this heavy darky bass like on rolling in the back. It's like the contrast is just like so powerful. Like we will send it to you like this.
Yeah, you gotta hear this. We'll send it to you.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, we're gonna finish some stuff with her today on this one too.
Yeah.
But as soon as it's done, we'll send it to her.
Yeah, contrast is contrast could be, y'all listen to this good. Contrast could be a certain percentage of the secret sauce, guys. Let's go.
Well, I think it's weird because, okay, so I'm gonna let you guys in on a secret. I am obsessed with the show Ink Master. It's
yeah.
I don't know why I don't have any tattoos, but I am obsessed. And I just love the way they talk about it. But contrast is like what they talk about a lot, and I'm like, oh, but the contrast has to make sense. You can't be opposites for the sake of opposite. It still has to blend. So
Yes.
like, you know, then I was like, oh, when I listen to music, contrast makes sense, but only at the right times and only if you really are active with it and you're only really directional and purposeful with it.
Yes, it's basically not being flat. You know, if a tattoo is flat and it's just only lines, it's gonna be only lines. But once you start adding shading, it's gonna give it some contrast and some dimension. And it's the same thing with sound. You want to structure stuff and have elements come in and out to be able to give this contrast where you feel like it sounds logical, but at the same time, it feels different, you know? Yep.
Lya, I wanted to ask you, you mentioned earlier on you've been to like the European parties and like, can you feel the difference between parties in Europe and then parties in the US? Is there a different energy or is there just like what's the experience like?
I think it's more a question of time. So I will say like when I started to discover the electronic music world in 2007 or 8 when I moved to Paris, it was really the beginning of David Guetta, Laid Back Luke. I was like going out from Thursday to Friday every night to see all these DJs that are now like huge and that were like just starting. So electronic music was in like one of the best place in France at this time with the Daft Punk and stuff, you know, and it was amazing, really, really amazing. And more like with the years, I felt like we lost in Paris this underground vibe. Everybody like was raving and stuff. It was more commercial. That's why I did this project to move to the US at first, because I felt like the US got back this European energy at a moment, few years later, because it was a little late. And when David Guetta like started to be famous here and stuff, so they opened they more was open to electronic music, and I felt that I found back this energy from Europe before in the US. But now I heard it's been like 5 years that we didn't get back to France, but I heard that it's coming back and that it's stronger than ever now. So I can't wait to go back and feel it again.
Yeah, we see a lot of festivals in Europe right now
Yeah,
that's
more and more, yeah.
huge, crazy, and we just like, oh, we gotta go there.
But the US scene is amazing, honestly, because like so much great events, all the
Yeah,
all the Insomniac festivals, like it's
there's a lot going on
amazing.
here.
Yeah, and yeah, it's a lot of things going on for sure.
Yeah. I feel like that's when it becomes like too popular. It goes away, you know. There's something about when things you discover it for the first time, it's like small, it's like very like niche and very specific crowd. It's like a group of people, and then all of a sudden it gets too big and you're like, it's not the same as it was. I got to go find my little group again.
A lot of people going back or going into techno, I think it's for that reason, because they want to be in something more of a niche. But in electronic music, there's a lot of different styles. So if you like play heavy bass house and stuff, I don't know if that will ever get so mainstream, because it could happen, but Skrillex did it. But it's hard to get some heavy like heavy sound, like like heavy stuff. Like when you get that on mainstream, like they're more like that for like action movies or like shows and stuff like that.
Look, Martin Garrix.
Yeah, but he was more EDM-ish and had a lot of like pop songs, like pop electro songs. But I feel like heavy bass house gonna always, maybe not always, but it's gonna be like a niche because it's not like so accessible to the ear. It's like heavy metal, but electronic. That's how I feel like sometimes. So there's this genre of house music, like do it to it, and this kind of tech house, this kind of commercial tech house that's getting really mainstream, we could say, but this is a lot of underground stuff still. So I think we still have a long time before like we get in trouble.
Yeah. Do you guys have a festival that's on your bucket list to do?
Many of them.
Yeah, many of them. EDC, of course.
Yeah, EDC, top of the list.
Yeah, top of the list. We live in Vegas, so it's the local festival for us, and it's been we went 3 years in a row.
Yeah, 3 times.
And
it's crazy.
It's crazy.
Yeah, that's really somewhere we can't wait to play, and maybe we like also like day trip in LA is cool, but.
And in another genre, like, of course, Burning Man. So that's a plan that we have, not this year, but maybe next year. We're going to try to go there, spend a few days, and try to mix at least once or twice a day, you know. And Tomorrowland, of course, because that's the European biggest festival.
Yeah. Coachella has some electronic music stage. We had some homies that played over there. That was sick. We didn't go, but...
Shambhala, Electric Forest for the vibe.
There's a lot. Yeah.
Because have you guys been to Tomorrowland?
Nope.
No, never.
Yeah, never. Me either. But you know, it's not really historically my genre of music. But obviously, the more I speak to people like you, Bijou, and I said to my friends recently, I was like, guys, I got to show you a song, and it's probably going to upset you because it's not what we've built our friendship around. It's not. It's literally just. And so one of my friends was not pleased by it, but I was just like, just hear me out, because the things I love about hip hop I can find in these songs, like the heavy drums. I'm starting to see things that I didn't see before and appreciate different music because I'm seeing the things that I've always loved just in other places. But so I'm like, maybe Tomorrowland is a place I could go. I always used to say a joke that if I was to go to like a festival or like a folk festival, I would bring my own headphones because
yeah, let me bump some Young Thug in there.
Yeah. But yeah, the videos look amazing from
you should definitely go, because as a human experience is exactly amazing, and it also you discover sound, like you say, and you might appreciate it or not. And there's so many different DJs and styles that you're gonna find something, or something is gonna find you, you know?
Yeah, and it's what we were talking about before about becoming mainstream. All these big festivals, they are like so famous around the world. EDC is happening in Orlando, Las Vegas, Mexico, I think in Asia too. So it's big brands now, but you always find some small artists on the lineup. And that's amazing because of course they have 9 to 12 stages. So they have smaller stages, but they invite really people that just start, that doesn't have a lot of following and stuff. So that's so good. Like you go in this type of festival, you can see the biggest DJ in the world, but also go on some crazy little stages where you are really close from the DJs, really close from the people. So it's a lot of different vibes around this festival. Smaller vibe, very like sometimes you have some little rooms that are very sweaty with everybody like just raving.
Yeah, once you in it,
it's so
like
cool. You know, it's not only the big that you see, and it's crazy how you don't see no phone. Like people are not on their phone, they're just dancing, they're just connecting together. You have a lot of performers everywhere, so you and a lot of things like fireworks and stuff. So you're like in a dream and you meet all these people and they're all so cool. There is no problem. EDC, it's 400,000 people during the weekend. You don't have what I never like see
it's
a
like not
fight,
much.
like
Yeah,
it's no problem at all. Like everybody just chilling, dancing. That's beautiful to see and live. Like it gives you back like hope in humanity a little bit.
yeah.
Like,
And you definitely connect with some people and stuff. Even say
so
you go to Tomorrowland by yourself, like you're gonna for sure connect with extra people and then really like have some genuine fun. So I feel like if you was hesitating, you really gotta go do it. Don't like any opportunity you have to go because you won't regret it. That's for sure. And you go to more after that.
And you will love more and more electronic music because you will understand it better, you know. Like the fact that you live this type of festival, it's like a whole thing. Like electronic music, it's not only about the music too, it's about all of
the whole
this.
experience.
So
yeah,
go ahead and I'm sure you will come back like really
a new man.
Yeah, new man.
Yeah, it's gonna be the Hip Hop House podcast. Yeah.
There is a before and after tomorrow.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say I'll make you guys a deal. When you guys go to Tomorrowland, I'll make sure that I'm there for when you both perform. That's the deal. So whoever's in my life, prepare for that to just so whenever you guys are like, all right, we're going, I'm like, I don't care what's around me. We're canceling all my plans. We're just going. I have to now.
That's love. That's love. Let's do it. Let's do it.
Really.
Yep. 100%.
Yeah. Let me ask you, because I mean, I've always wondered this, but I feel like, you know, there is drugs associated with that experience of like house music. And, you know, I think, and I've always wondered when you're creating music, like, do you ever think about that, or do you just create your own music and you're like, people will like it, they'll experience it their own way?
We don't consume drugs. We tried in our life, of course, but we don't consume drugs at all except weed, if you consider it like a drug. But so it's complicated for us to judge, but honestly, even in backstage or when we go there, we don't see people consuming. Of course, we see people high and sometimes like can be in a bad trip sometimes, but it's not much, honestly. So we don't really have, we don't really feel it's a drug thing because we don't consume. So we are not around people that consume really. So yeah, I don't think we can really talk on this because we don't. It's not in our part of our life and our.
We don't do music in the studio and be like, oh, I like this bass when I'm under this high, you know, like
we don't relate.
No, we just do it. We do what we love to do. We do what sounds good, what make us move, what what
And music is our drug. Like it's
Yeah.
what we feel when we listen to the song, where we feel us. We kind of believe maybe some other people can feel the same. That's what we think, or we send it to people or stuff. But yeah, we don't think about drug first because we don't
no, yeah,
consume drug.
but it's definitely around, and but not to an extreme. For all the festivals we went to and stuff, probably seen one or two times like people a little too geeked and be like, they're getting a little weird, you know. But most of the
But
time it's cool.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
fun.
but
It's
I
fun
mean,
time.
hey, y'all don't do no drugs.
Yeah.
You could have fun without, for sure.
Mhm.
Yeah. I mean, I'm always like, whatever, do what you want to do. At the end of the day, because I mean, it's their experience as well. That's the cool thing. Like, and I've always thought about, or I haven't always, but I feel like the more I speak to people like you, and the more I speak to artists, is you are really giving a part of yourself to the audience. Like there is something eternal that you're finding within yourself, of like your own creativity, your own feeling, and so you're putting that literally in a place where people can listen to, and the way they take that in is really up to them, because it's like, it's my experience that's now yours, that you get to do whatever you want with.
Exactly, and then
Exactly.
and you touch people when they can relate. So once is you get to express a feeling in a clear way, even if it's musically or lyrically, with a melody or whatever. That's when people relate, and that's when I think you connect with someone, and then they actually get a part of you because it's also a part of them, you know. And then there's these artists that's really just gone like that.
Just taking some water.
I was like, what?
Mhm.
So yeah, I feel like it's to connect with the people is the main thing, and to do what you love also is the main thing. So it just goes together.
Yeah. Well, that's what's working for both of you. I mean, that's
Yeah.
why I started listening to your music, and I was like, all right, yeah, I gotta speak to these two.
Thank you. What was the first song you heard from me?
That's a good question. I think I was actually on your Instagram first, and so then I did like a deep dive, and then I really liked Discotheque, and then A1. I always look at the top ones, and then I'm just yeah. Just to be honest, it started to become the journey, and then I was like, all right, I got to figure out how they did what they're doing, and like where they're going, and yeah, I just recently been more open to speaking to artists like yourselves, and I'm just like, I should just interview the people I want to interview. That's like my newfound thing, and so
Yeah,
We have this hip hop aspect for sure. So we started like this. We have pure hip hop songs, so it was making sense.
and hip hop is about mixing up all cultures too. Like, so it's about mixing up the like different influences. So I feel like what you're doing, going through different influences, and especially like she said, like we came from hip hop and just moved on to something and kept this a certain side of the hip hop with us. So I think it makes sense, and no matter what, um, you won't be disappointed in the electronic music world. Most DJs is super cool, and
Yeah.
I think it's a cool thing to do that. Yeah.
that's what I'm realizing, is that
Yeah.
very cool, like very chill, very open. Like there's no like guarded or anything like that. And I mean, you guys listened to the one with Bijou. He didn't hide anything. He just went on his.
The man is a legend. Like, he's a legend. Like in his in house music, Bijou is Bijou. So when you meet him, you have the impression to know him since a long time. He's so cool. He's like no ego, just kindness. And Martin Orger, this guy, he's the sweetest guy in the world. Like
Hugs on hugs every time. It's
DJ
like
Susan is Jesus No, that's true. Huh? He's Jesus. The guy is bringing happiness to everyone he crosses. He is so amazing. If you can like interview this guy, you're gonna spend like a great time.
DJ Susan.
DJ Susan.
Let's go, bro.
Let's go. We just released on his label, Hood Politics, and he's the
they
best.
have a bunch of they be dropping a lot of fire.
Yeah.
Y'all go check it out for sure.
Well, y'all are my connect. So
sure.
yeah. But the weird thing is, so this is what I'm realizing is like I probably didn't internally realize how big Bijou is. I probably don't really even understand how big you two are in a weird way. Like I think after I speak to you, it's gonna hit me, and after the podcast actually comes out, it's gonna hit me of like, number one, you should be way more happy and way more proud of like the people that you're actually talking to, because sometimes it's in the weird. I'm sure you feel in a weird way the same. Once you release a song, you're like, all right, next song. I'm the same way with podcasts where I'm like, once I've recorded, once it comes out, I almost don't think about it anymore, and I'm like on to the next thing. But it's always good to be reminded.
You focus, and that's a constant grind too that you have to keep up. So it's like, I think it's normal, and then plus before you do it, you already take time to appreciate the artist you're going to talk to, because you do a deep dive. So you already immerse yourself in the artist world and stuff like that. Is already a big thing for us, because we always thankful for anybody that want to take a look into what we're doing. So I don't think being big or small have something to do with that in a way. Like I'm not sure. I don't know.
Well, to be fair, my biggest fear is to ask you a question that has nothing to do with your music. Like, and then you're like, God, this guy never listened to us. Like, I never want you to ever think that like, oh, he's just doing it for the clout. And I've heard interviews where like the interviewer has never listened to the music that they're asking about.
That's better, but honestly, we always happy to present ourselves to somebody that never heard about us and send them some songs. So it's still cool, like no matter what.
But have a time where you meet.
But when the person like took the time, it's really, really, really appreciable for sure. So thanks a lot for this.
Yeah.
Well, honestly, the pleasure is all mine, literally all mine, because I just found more music that I like. So I more appreciate that y'all keep coming out with music. But I only have one more question for you both, and you can give a separate answer as well if the answer is different. But it's the only question that I plan on the show. But if you had to recommend one album that everybody should listen to at least once, cannot be your own project, but can be any genre of music, what would it be?
Me, I would say Kasky. Not I think the name of the album is Not Even My Final Form. And yeah, if y'all like rap, I feel like this is really a good project. It has different styles in it a little bit, and I don't know, I just really like this project, and this will be the first one that would come to mind. It's a hip-hop project.
All right, we got one.
Wow, it's so hard. Honestly, I grew up listening so much different things that made like me today, like in terms of music,
What's your favorite project nowadays?
Nowadays, it's complicated for me. Like nowadays, I will say one that just popped in my mind when you say the question is like Dummy, Portiched. You know Portiched?
No.
It's
trip hop.
It's a trip hop. It's a trip hop group from I would say the 80s, but they continued like in the 90s, and it's really, for me, they came first with this type of trip hop, deep alternative experimental vibe. And for me, they were the first one that went mainstream, doing some weird sounds, kind of, and that's why I love them so much when I grew up, because for me that's the band that say music doesn't have any rules. They came with this project and it was completely crazy and entertaining. You can say that in English? Hypnotizing. Sometimes I take French words and I just put the ing to try. so more like hypnotizing vibe, and the singer Beth Gibbons, she has one of the most crystal beautiful voice. Like,
yeah, for all music creators, we recommend to go check it out, because you could see that something could be legendary and successful without having to be a cliche and following the rules,
exactly.
the certain so-called rules, you know.
And it's so soulful. If you listen to it, you're gonna see it's so soulful.
Well, looks like I've got 2 more projects to go check out. And honestly, as I said at the beginning, I completely understood your French accent the whole time, so you have nothing to worry about. I did French in high school, and I was so bad. Like, my teacher would always say, your accent is awful. Like, I did it for 3 years, and I remember literally nothing.
Very hard. It's very hard. I forgive you because it's really, really hard. But honestly, it's not easy for me because 5 years ago, I was like not speaking English at all. Yeah. And sometimes I just want to express myself, but I don't find the words. So it's kind of frustrating sometimes. So that's why I stop. Or
but she learned very quick because she really got here. There, you know? Yeah, she really got here on like almost zero. And
and we speak French at home, you know, so I don't speak English all the time.
I speak English because I come from St. Martin in the Caribbean, and over there the island is half Dutch, half French, but people speak English. Like, since I was in school, like a little kid, we speak English. It's more of a patois accent. So since I'm here, I learned how to speak more. I won't say correctly, but like more
American. You speak American. Yeah. When you come here, you got to learn how to speak Australian.
Yo, we never, you know, Fisher, the DJ Fisher.
Yeah.
He's from Australia. So we never understand what he said. Fisher, we don't understand what you're saying.
Your accent is really like
you straight, bro. We can really understand.
Yeah, I don't have the strongest accent. I know it. Like, everyone's like, "Where are you from?" They don't really pick it. It can kind of blend. But yeah,
the US. Huh?
You could be from the UK too.
No, like, even for the UK, he has a mild accent.
It's cool. Really, but you straight.
Well, I appreciate it. I'm glad you can understand me, because I don't want anyone to be like, what the fuck is he talking about? I mean, people like that because they don't understand what's the content of what I'm saying. But in terms of the words themselves, it's not the strongest.
Nah, you're good. You're straight.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you both coming on the show. I appreciate all the music that you put out, the hard work. I'm excited to see how you wrap up the year. And as I said during the interview, the gospel songs, I mean, they might be out by the time this drops anyway, but I highly recommend anyone to check him out. I mean, you've got me as fans, and as we said, once you're at Tomorrowland, count me there. I'm going to be like fanboying the whole time. But yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure.
All right,
thank you so much. Thank you so much for having us. It was like a great time, and like anytime you want to do something else with us, like don't hesitate. Really, like.
Well, I will let you know. I'm going to be in New York in October. So if y'all are doing shows, let me know. Maybe not. But
we might be in France in October, but not sure.
Well, to be fair, that is way more exciting. I've only been to France once. I went to Paris and I loved it. It was so good. So it's definitely on my bucket list to go back. But as I said, it's been an absolute pleasure. And is there anything you guys wanted to plug? Anything you guys wanted to shout out?
So we
want to shout out everyone for just being awesome around us and having a cool team. And thank you to the whole gang and everybody who's following us. Like you said, the Lemon Nation, and everybody who took the time to listen to our music, make sure we got these streams. We hit 1 million streams on No Hollywood, which is our first million stream on one song, which is like really crazy
Huge.
for us. So we really, really, really happy. And yeah, just everyone, just y'all keep being good people, spreading love. That's the most important. Listen to some good rap music that will influence you and make you think on some good stuff and positive stuff, you know. And yeah, that's it. Y'all keep being awesome, and thank you also for having us. Really, really appreciate you taking the time. Means a lot. So yes, sir.
Yeah, I think you say it all. Like, I have nothing to add.